Ta-da!
Ta-da!
Hey, look who's here. Hi.
Hi, everyone.
How are you? Oh my goodness. Where are you going?
And upstairs.
Let's go get clothes.
Bye.
I know, but you're in
Hey, Kaya, can you hear me?
She's on the way up, but yeah.
Oh, I want to know if she put a spell on that tree in your yard to make it so beautiful.
I think so. I sing to it all the time.
Did you? Nice.
It is stunningly beautiful.
I know. In the last 2 days, it went from like that dark red to super bright red. That's always fun when it does that.
Yeah, I didn't remember seeing that last year, so.
I know. Yeah, last year I remember being a little disappointed last year. I felt the same way. Like, oh, I guess. Yeah, okay. This year though, and it's good timing. Like everything else kind of blew off, and now there it is.
Great, good. You're sounding good.
Yeah, tired, but what are you gonna do?
Yep. There's something about two small children.
Something about that. I don't know.
A lot of fun, but.
Yeah, they like to go from 0 to 200 back to -40. Like, okay. There we go.
And they only do it 73 times a day.
7 minutes sometimes. Yeah. Just you know.
Okay. Well, it's good to see you.
Yeah, nice to be here. Nice to see you too.
Someday you'll get to really hear that again.
I think about that every time. I'm like, I've played with different settings too. It comes through a little bit. It comes through a little bit.
Nobody says they can really hear it on Zoom. So.
Yeah. You probably have to stand on like the other side of the room.
So, any questions?
No.
Reports?
No. It was not a productive 2 weeks. So I would say.
Well, I'm sure it was a productive 2 weeks, but maybe not for Tai Chi.
I wish I could say that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh dear.
Yeah, yeah. So no, I'm kind of trying to pull up the files here. What what was going on? So yeah, I have no insights or anything going on.
Okay. All
Yeah.
right. Well, we're gonna talk about some more of the ground rules about the arm movements in cloud hands. And one of the first things is something you already actually pretty well know it, and it's more of a problem for women than for men. And that is making sure that you have at least a fist width of space between your hand and any part of your flesh. So of course, for women, depending on the size of their breasts, that can be much more of an issue than it is for most men. But it is an extremely important thing to maintain, because if you don't, you begin to break the flow of the energy in your etheric field. And that, of course, you're really trying, what you're trying to do is activate your etheric field outside so that it also activates the energy inside your body. And if you're moving your hand, you actually have to have pivot points. And the first one is the acromioclavicular joint.
Oh yeah, of course.
So if you take your finger up on the top of your shoulder, you'll find a kind of a notch. And that's actually where that joint exists. And it's important that you keep that joint open, so that there's not a problem there. And the other part is you have to think about it in conjunction with keeping your elbow tips down, aimed at the floor, which we've also talked about before. So that's not really something new. So there are two parts to your hands coming in and coming into the center. Number one is that when you finish, the ideal thing is that the center of your palm actually has come up to roughly in front of your nose. In other words, where your central channel is, and in front of your spine. Now, you don't have to go crazy about this, thinking of being exactly center of the palms. If you have very long arms, it might be actually that the little finger goes across. If your arms are short, then it may not go quite to the center at all. And so it probably will be close to the center of your palm, but you just don't have to be crazy about it. But now we have a second pivot point, which is the armpit, which means up into the center of the arm joint. It is going to be directly connected to your shoulder blades. So you can look at it from the perspective of making your armpit go around, or you could look at it in terms of your shoulder blades coming out a little bit. And they are directly connected to each other. And that's a matter of perspective, not a matter of fact. But the armpit is usually easier at first than the shoulder blade. So let me change my camera here. So in this movement, you want to make sure that your hand begins and ends centered at your side. And it's going to come around and arc up so that the palm is facing your nose approximately. So you have to think about this in terms of the arc that's going up, but also keeping the elbow out so that you don't either close off the armpit or bring the hand too close to the body. So it has to actually go up and out. And the movement is an arcing movement, and that it's going up and out. It's not going up and straight in front of you. And as it comes back down to your side, you also want to make sure that it is coming back right by your side, and that you make sure the elbow goes out a little bit as you do that. So you have preserved the entire time the distance away from your flesh so that the elbow and the arm moving up and down in front of your body is activating your etheric field, which is also activating the chi inside your body. Don't overemphasize the arc, just make them large enough to preserve the distance and keep the curve as clean as possible. Aha.
There you are.
Here I am. Don't cut the etheric field. Just as in Dragon and Tiger, where your movements are directly about connecting to the chi lines inside your body, that's also true here. They're just connecting to different lines, which I don't want to go into right now because there's a lot of well, it's a long conversation about the whole thing. But you don't need to know exactly what that matrix is to get it to work. So I want you to stand up and also move a little here. Let me just, I'm going to go to both of us. So we're just going to move the arm at the moment. Don't worry about the shifting of the weight so much. And you want to make sure that you're starting, and we'll just do one arm at a time. Make sure your hand is really centered at the side and that the elbow is lifted out a little bit so that you preserve that space. And you want to make sure you've got at least that fist width. And that can mean, by the way, either this or this width. They're not exactly the same. This is a little smaller.
Right.
So, but that's kind of the minimum space that you want to maintain. So the hand actually is coming around the hip a little bit and then arcing up in front of the face. And then coming right back down again. And you want to make sure you come right back to that same position. In beginning to do this, I often see people start out really just fine, and then for some reason come back sort of out somewhere out in front of their body. You want to get clear back around the side. We'll talk a little more about that in a minute, but just try this. So you're coming up and out. And not overemphasizing keeping that elbow out, but making sure that you do. And you want to keep the hand rotating all the way up and down. So it's twisting. Yeah, good. And now practice your other hand, other arm. Because sometimes they're different. Make sure when you get to the top that the elbow doesn't come in too much. You don't want it.
Better?
Yeah, the problem with that is that you want to keep it down, but you don't want it to close off the armpit.
Right, okay.
Got to maintain that little bit of space there. The one thing, turn sideways for me for a moment. So make sure you really bring it to palm facing straight down on the side.
Okay.
Yeah. Good. And when you go to at the top, I'm just trying to do this close so you can see. When you come up here, it's not up this way. It is definitely angled slightly out.
Okay.
You want the hand to be going out, not straight up.
Okay. I'm not like trying to look at myself in a mirror.
No, you're not trying to look at yourself in the mirror. Very good. Okay. So relax for a minute.
Okay.
So you want to be careful you don't cut the etheric field. And also, be aware if at any point you do have a neck or shoulder injury or problem, you may not be able to take your hand up that high. And so try to actually be really careful about that and not overdo. I'll talk a little bit more about that in a minute. One of the things you're trying to do here is to open up your neck and your shoulder blades and your ribs. So as you go up to the center. So what I want you to do now is just to do each arm 10 times.
Okay.
And all you're trying to do is to really get where the positions are at the bottom and top. Don't try to cross the center line of the body. Really, the ideal is only the center of the palm to the center. I think when you go down that you're ending up a little too far from the body. I think you'll have a better feeling of the etheric field if you're a little closer, but but not too close.
Right. Um, hmm. I've started thinking about it far too much.
Okay, that's all right.
But etheric body, let's just say, is like here, and then if that same distance was also present in my arms, am I trying to rub the two etheric bodies together, or should my hand be on the surface of my body's etheric body, or should my hand be in my body's etheric body?
You are thinking about it way too much.
Absolutely.
Do you feel your etheric body?
I think I can feel it. To me, it feels if my hand is like on the edge of my body's body, then I feel like that's what I can find.
Mm-hmm.
But like, so that's where I've been kind of trying to jive. But now all of a sudden I'm like, oh, well, maybe I should be like rubbing the two etheric bodies like surfaces together, or oh, like maybe it should be in it so that like my arms etheric body is like under my skin and getting into that stuff.
So yes, your etheric body, all of the energy body, each of the energy bodies exists both inside the physical skin and outside of your body.
I do forget that one a lot. Yep.
Yeah. So your etheric body on the outside, it's very difficult for me to tell on, I really can't tell on Zoom where your etheric body is because I really have to feel that.
Right.
But for most people, it's 12 or 18 inches from the body is the actual border of it.
Okay.
So your arms are moving within the etheric body.
Okay.
And by maintaining that space between your hand and elbow and the skin, you more effectively move the energy inside your body.
Okay.
As you move through the etheric field on the outside. Now, the etheric field actually can be much bigger. People who have an enormous effect on crowds of people often have huge etheric bodies. My example is always the Dalai Lama because I experienced it when I went and did that workshop for a week.
Right.
And you could you could feel the entire 5,000 people area change when he walked into the room. Now,
Right.
part of that, of course, is the people's response, but a lot of it is his really incredible effect energetically on everyone.
Right. Okay. Okay. Yeah.
So that's looking better.
Yeah.
We're,
Okay.
we're gonna refine it some more. We're not going to go to it today at all, actually, but one of the things to remember is that you're doing these arm movements while you are rotating and shifting your weight.
Mhm.
And that really complicates things because things just look really different in front of you when your body is turning than when you're just standing still. And that's because of the science of proprioception, where your body is in space, and it can be a very tricky art, believe me. Now, the next thing that's going to happen is that as one arm goes down, it causes the other one to rise. So then we will have this whole coordination thing going on. Now, we're not going to actually do that one today either. But the first point I want you to get is just that, to completely understand what each hand and arm is trying to do, and then we'll put it together. So the next thing, besides your legs turning and your waist turning to activate your collateral meridians, is that so do your hands. Now, the motion is really not a vertical one. So yes, there is, of course, a vertical element of it, but we're really looking for the arcs here and the continual arcing of the movement. And one of the things we have to recognize is there are two things we have to do. One is that the arm turns around the hip first. It's also starting to rise as it does that. And then it continues on up. So the horizontal and vertical are really happening together. And so this is really a critical part of this movement, is to get that awareness, and let me turn sideways, maybe you see it a little better this way, is you want to have the sense that this is one continual movement, but it contains one turn this way and the arc up to the center. And you want to make sure that you maintain those when you come down. So in other words, you don't come right down to the side, bang. You come back down and around the hip. So what's occurring here is that your hand is actually going through the meridians as it does this. And as you get better and your dantian gets stronger, it energizes the meridians so that the motion is actually terribly particular. So we want to really try to get what this basic movement is. And one of the things to think about here is what moves your hand? Does your hand move your hand? Not really. Your shoulder blade actually moves your hand. So there are two basic exercises that we do, and I can't remember if we've done these before or not. But the first one is just rotating the arms by the shoulder blades, not from the shoulders, not just turning the shoulders, or thinking of turning the elbows or turning the hands, but rather really, and I'm sure you can't see this on there, but maybe you can, I don't know. But you want the shoulder blades to be the element moving the arms, so that this movement is coming from the back, and it is the movement of the shoulder blades going in towards the spine and actually out towards the shoulders nest that's causing the arms to rotate. And that, of course, is what's driving the movement, the first movement, when the arms circle the hip. So the shoulder blades drive the elbows, which drives the hands. So the hands don't lead. As a matter of fact, the only thing the hands do is they twist going up and coming down. But the rest of the movement is rooted in the shoulder blade. The shoulder blades are kind of wrapping first towards the spine and then back towards the shoulders nest. And part of what this is doing is, again, taking your energy from your spine and bringing it to your fingertips, and then taking the energy back from your fingertips to your spine, and through that into your internal organs. So your shoulders have a very specific movement. And this is important. Your shoulder blades have a very specific movement. This is important because if you're fuzzy about this one, then the whole way of doing this gets lost. And then we have as I showed you, those secondary exercises. And you're really trying to use those to get the shoulder blades to move and to drive the movement of the arms. And actually, I'd like to see you doing that. So.
Yeah. You tell me what, if you want me to like rotate or anything, let me know.
Okay, oh, there it is, okay. So first thing I'd like you to do is just let the arms hang down at your side and see if you can rotate your arms by moving your shoulder blades, not just by moving your shoulders. And this is something you have to feel the difference. Sometimes it helps, and actually that was looking pretty good. That last one I'm not so sure about, but before that was good. One of the things to do is just rotate your shoulders and feel yourself just move your shoulders, okay? And then try to feel the difference of rotating the whole arm from the shoulder blade.
I don't, actually, because if I try to pull my shoulders in, but really only my shoulders. I don't feel like my arms actually, I guess they do a little,
They do a little, yep.
right?
But if you do it with the shoulder blades, it causes
Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
it causes a real rotation.
Right. The big thing that I'm like, obviously like the shoulder's going to move a bit, right? I think we've talked about this before, but like I can do this, and that's not like the whole, I shouldn't be pulling my shoulders in while my blades go out, right? My blades should just be able to move without my shoulders.
Well, your shoulders
Drastically.
going to move. Your shoulders are going to move also, although they don't they don't scrunch in.
Okay.
No, but your shoulders, if you move the shoulder blades, it moves the shoulders, and they will begin to rotate.
Okay.
But they're not scrunching in, no.
Okay, because I was like trying to like totally don't move the shoulders at all,
No.
and it was really hard.
Yeah, okay. That may have been what was going on.
But yeah, I mean, it doesn't feel like it's a much smaller movement than I feel like it should be, you know?
Stop judging.
Okay.
It is what it is. And it probably is small. I have a feeling that your shoulder blades are tight.
Mhm.
Am I right about that?
Yes. How did you know?
Good. So now bring your palms down by your sides, like your beginning position, and see if you can get them to circle the hip by moving the shoulder blade.
Right.
Uh-huh.
That makes it like a lot easier to have that part.
Uh-huh.
Just doing the elbows, I was like, okay, you gotta like get around the hip. Very like, but if it's just, hey, yeah, your shoulder blades should do it. It's kind of like the natural shape of that. Go figure.
Yeah. So, oh, you can't see me very well if I do that. So you're absolutely right that that movement of coming around the hip all of a sudden becomes no problem in
Mhm.
doing this when you use the shoulder blades. And the more you focus on driving your arm movements with the shoulder blades, the more the shoulder blades will begin to loosen up, and it will take a while. Because they tend to get really tight. Now the next thing is that as that movement begins, you are twisting and rising. So it is not just going flat around the hip. It has to also rise and also begin to twist in. So it's going to go around and up. But using the shoulder blade allows that movement to smooth out. The awkwardness you were feeling before, you're absolutely right, was because you were focusing, as I told you to do, on the elbow.
Right.
Yeah, that's looking much better now. Don't go across the center line, though. Aha. So,
Nice to.
yep, that's better. So, one of the one of the ways you can work on that is to you can use a door frame or whatever, but if if you're trying to make sure that you are getting to the center, you would line this up in front of your shoulders nest on one side, so that as you came up, you're sure you get to the other side of that pole, so that you aren't shorting your movement. On the other hand, if your problem is going past the center, if you get the edge of that just past your center line, so that as you do the movement, you can see, yeah, oh, okay, I didn't, that was okay. But if you go here,
Right.
you know, it just is can give you a physical feedback, if that's useful to you. I just
Yeah, no, that's a good idea.
If we were in person, I could be the pole, but I can't do that on Zoom.
No, not yet, at least.
No. Yeah, I haven't quite gotten that far.
Yeah.
Okay. So there is another point which gets a little bit tricky. Qigong is incredibly valuable, but this part of it is not so easy. Once you have the coordination, it's not too bad. Now, you want to be sure that you don't let the elbows begin to drift out. And I think you're doing pretty well with this, but it is very easy, even if you're using the shoulder blade, to find that you're getting the elbow way too far out. So you want to keep that awareness that the elbow is always trying to point down. And 45 degrees is fine, but anything more than 45 degrees would really be counterproductive.
Okay.
I think that's a point you already know pretty well. And as we said, we want the shoulder blade to drive the elbow to drive the hand. The other thing is, how high does your hand go? I said palm in front of the nose. Okay, that's fine as long as you're healthy, don't have an injury. But if you do, then you might need to make initially the movement a little lower. And this, of course, is where the good old 70% rule comes in, because if you find that going here causes pain, then you've gone too far and it's counterproductive. And I think you know that, but just as a reminder that these movements can be very helpful in healing arm, neck, and shoulder issues, and even shoulder blade issues, if you do it appropriately and don't overdo it.
Yeah. Okay.
Let you read that. So I really think that's all I wanted to do with you today.
When probably both, but when you're coming down,
Mm-hmm.
like when I'm going up, it's very like it's like relaxed, but you know, like I there's a sense of like you know, I'm like scooping up something, or you know, I'm like drawing stuff in. On the way down, I had been having a sense of like I'm pushing it down, right?
Uh-huh.
Like, and then I was just goofing around, and it occurred to I was swinging my arms, and it occurred to me, or should I just let go while like still following, you know, pulling my shoulder blades in and everything? And should it be the same way that it should be a release of how relaxed should it be? might just sum it right up, you know, like not that I go limp and like let my arm fall, but
No.
on the way down, it you know, should I be like, I'm like really deliberately whatevering?
So you're absolutely correct that as your arm is going up, it's sending energy up the body.
Mm-hmm.
As it goes down, it's sending energy down the body.
Mm-hmm.
No question about it. And no, it's not limp. It's, you are very intentionally doing that. And right now it's not such a big deal. Because we're just doing one arm, but eventually we are doing this with both arms, and so one arm is pushing down and one arm is pulling up, and both are coming into the center at the same time, and then both are going out, one up and one down. So, but the one is going up and one is going down, so that you have two opposite things happening at the same time. So there is a real coordination issue eventually.
Yeah.
In doing this, which is one of the reasons why I think the training is set up this way so that we really get each of the elements really clear in the body and hopefully comfortable in the body, so that when we start to put them all together, it isn't such a problem.
Mm-hmm. I guess I'm thinking of like posture 2 in Dragon and Tiger when you're letting your arm drop. And when I had done that class for like the longest time, it was like I'm like doing a thing. At some point you were like just don't let it like fall, but like a feather falling, I think that's what I put in there, of like you just letting it go. So
Well,
not well, right? Like not just like
not really.
I'm not doing a good job of describing it.
No, well, but I kind of understand, I think, what you're saying, which is that what is the difference between forcing it down and letting it just collapse down?
Yeah, or like, because I can have like a really what feels like a deliberate, and I'm kind of open, like I'm trying to like be relaxed and not like tense, but but intention wise or whatever, right? Consciously, I'm pushing down, I am like moving this whatever around, and but if I really like just instead focus on being as open as possible, and like it should be as easy as possible, I don't get as good of a sense of like stuff moving around, but it feels a lot better. Maybe so. Which one's right?
Well, you need the intention about exactly what you're trying to do. So it's not just a mindless waving of your arms around, which does a little maybe, but it doesn't do a heck of a lot. But if you, we haven't really talked about this very much in this movement, but basically what's happening here, even at this stage, the energy is coming in to the center and then out through your fingertips. And then you're drawing back into your center and out and down through your leg. So you're moving the energy on this side of your body in and out and in and out as you go through that. So there is a very definite intention of movement there. And so it's not, your mind has to be involved, certainly in the beginning has to be involved with thinking about that, but eventually you can let go of the thinking about it because you just do it.
Right.
But that comes after practice, not at the beginning.
Yeah. Yes. It feels like the difference between, sorry, if I like moving in a way that feels a little bit like I'm moving through water, or if I really, which like I sometimes, I feel like I get a stronger response of like there's stuff inside me that's moving around.
Yeah.
But if I really relax, it's just a whole lot easier in terms of like, oh, maybe what I thought was like in my arms, a flow was really just tension. But I don't get such a strong sense of like, all of a sudden I feel much more empty inside.
Yeah.
Which one should I be doing?
Both.
Okay.
So what I'm hearing is that in the one movement, you're trying to make the movement of the energy happen in your body.
Yeah, yeah. I'm scooping it up and it's coming up like look at me. I'm picking up the water. I'm like pushing.
Yep.
I'm like a particle in the tube.
Right.
Moving everything around.
And that has just put yourself in the way of actually doing it.
Yeah, I think so.
So the problem is to keep the awareness of the intention to move the energy that way, but through a relaxed body.
Right. And I'm thinking that it's because if I'm relaxed and while I do this or focus more on that, like it's a much more subtle feeling.
Yep.
And I think I'm in a way like, oh, well, that can't be it because like I don't feel it as much. But I think I was just feeling the tension of like, you know.
I think you're absolutely right.
Okay.
And that's one of the conundrums in Tai Chi and Qigong, particularly for us Westerners. and that is finding that release, that openness, that letting go of tension that allows the energy to move without just flopping into limpness.
Right.
And it's finding that point, that place in between, because you can do all of this. You can do the movement perfectly. You can be a wonderful athlete or dancer and copy the movement and do it absolutely perfectly, and you will get a little bit of benefit and probably not feel a whole lot.
Mm-hmm.
Or you can choose to not be as concerned about the physical movement, but more aware of what's happening inside your body.
Right. Yeah. And it's what's throwing me off is it feels better. Like, oh, it just physically, I'm like, oh, would you rather walk through a pool or not? It feels better, but like, and in a way, I feel more aware of able to focus on little parts without needing to control the whole thing. But there is a sense of like loss of just empty, like, oh, like I don't feel so full, you know. So that can't be right because like I should feel more things. But I'm beginning to think that might not be correct.
I think it's not correct, and I think indeed what you said to begin this whole discussion is the root of the issue, and that is you're thinking about it too much.
Oh, okay, there you go. Yeah.
However, I think this kind of discussion is important, and I'm not saying that from the standpoint of cutting off talking about this or talking about similar kinds of questions, because I think that's really valuable. And you have to try we have to work through the mental part of this in the beginning so that we can arrive at a point where we can simply allow what we've taught ourselves to do to happen. Because if you think about the 16 Negong elements that we would like to be having happen simultaneously in all our movements, you can't possibly think about them and do them.
Right. Right. That's a lot.
And you can't learn them all at once. You have to learn them one at a time and practice them till they are comfortable and happening in your body in a way that you don't have to think of consciously about it for them to happen.
Right.
And then you can add another one
Mhm.
because you don't need to think about the first one anymore. And that's kind of, I'd say, at the very least, counterintuitive to us.
Yeah. Right.
And yet,
Right.
when it happens, you have a real aha. Because it does happen.
Yeah. Yeah. Because that's what this feels like, a little bit of like, I think, you know, like you're saying that to just do the things that we've taught ourselves to do. And I was like, I think I've taught myself how to do this. Do it like that. I think just all of a sudden I was like, maybe like moving my arm shouldn't feel quite so difficult while I do this. Maybe I don't need to try quite so hard to, you know, maybe when David says release, it really should be like a letting go sensation.
Ah, my favorite two words. Next to practice.
Yeah. Practice letting go. There you go. Yeah. So it just, yeah, I guess I just needed some validation on it because if someone came to me and said like, if someone came to me and said, I was practicing this thing, you know, feeling this thing, and I'd be like, oh, how was it? And they're like, I didn't feel, you know, I felt nothing. I really let go. I'd be like, well, you probably didn't do it, you know, like, so yeah, I think I don't know. Yeah, cool.
You know, this stuff is hard to talk about, to describe.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's not,
Lifetime.
you know, it's because it has to be something that you feel. It's not something that there are specific rules that if you do this, and this, it'll happen. No,
Right.
It doesn't work that way.
Right.
And we're kind of used to that.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, you pretty much can't have somebody trying to do a computer program, just whatever they want to put into it.
Right. No, that's what I was saying. I was like, yeah, no, I am quite used to like, you got to do.
Yeah.
But,
yeah. But if you think about a code that you know well and you easily work with, you don't stop and think about most of it.
Yeah, no, I was gonna bring that up. When we were like troubleshooting a thing, I've seen other people do it, and they're like really trying to think. I'm like, okay, what does this mean? What does this mean? And like, I'll get called into the meeting. I'm like, what's going on? Oh, it probably is this thing. It feels like that. And they're like, well, what are you doing? I'm like, I don't really know. I'm just gonna go look at this thing. Like, I just start like touching and feel and like I'm not thinking about it, right? I'm just like I literally am just kind of feeling my way through the thing and putting so yeah, it's really, but I used to be like, oh, like what do I do? And like I really gotta be careful. And now no, I don't need to think about all those parts like you say. I'm moving data around and trying to figure. Yeah.
So, you know, there are some similarities that way. So
cool. Thanks, David.
It's a pleasure.
Mm.
So any other thoughts at the moment about this?
I had one about twisting, but this kind of deleted everything. So I think it was something around just making arms can go both ways. So I think I know the answer, but I should, for whatever reason, when I'm bringing my arm up, I intuitively just was picking twisting like my elbow in
Mm-hmm.
and then my arm out that way. I assume I should also practice that this, yeah, that's hard for me to do. That if this is twisting out, that it can twist out
This
this
is
way.
a twisting in, actually. This is a twisting out.
But then okay, I'm glad I asked. Because I thought I was trying to like twist from my elbow towards my body as I went up, as going out. No, I'm sorry. I just got confused. I confused myself because I'm twisting
Yeah.
in towards my body, but out. Right.
Yeah. So what's kind of confusing is that the arm so when you talk about I'm going to go back here a step. When you talk
Sure.
about twisting of the arms, you have to think about which edge of the arm are you referring to, the little finger edge or the thumb edge, because they do opposite things. So when you start with the hand down beside you and you come up to the center of the body, you're twisting the little finger edge in.
Mm-hmm.
However, as you continue, you're twisting the thumb edge out.
I guess, right. Okay. So my question is, or whatever, yeah, that clears it up. Because I always just think about my little finger edge is essentially what I'm saying.
Not necessarily, depends what's going on, because in this case, the first part of the movement to the center, not to here, but to the center of the movement, you're twisting in because you're drawing energy into the body. And from the center up to the top, you're sending energy out. So you are going to be twisting out.
So right as that movement starts going up, does that twist has to change direction?
Mm-hmm.
But okay, I'm sorry. So if I'm thinking about my thumb, I'm twisting that like in.
No, you're thinking about the little finger first.
Okay. Well, you can switch which side, right? Okay, sure.
No, you can't.
Oh.
Because from this position,
yeah.
The reason why is that from the position beside your hip, as you're going up, the way you're twisting, the thumb is twisting outward away from the center line of the body. It's not twisting in.
Right.
Only the little finger is twisting in.
So that okay, but that's what confuses me in that starting with the little finger, it's twisting in. I haven't changed the direction of the twist at all. Now it's twisting out.
Yep.
What? You know, like what caused that?
Your
I'm just doing the
your
same
intention. See, you have, by thinking, you have now added an element that we hadn't talked about, and therefore confused yourself a little.
I'm great at that, David.
But that's okay. That's fine. You've thought about it. It's in here. It's on the table, and that's good. So one of the things This is a variation on what happens in the middle of the S curve of the Chansa-Jin,
Okay.
because when if you think about that, we get here, and as you come into the center, that little finger is twisting in. But what happens in the Chansa-Jin is that the little finger twists out to continue. So it didn't change from one edge to the other, but it did change direction in the middle.
Right.
This is a more advanced twisting, if you will, where you have twisting in going to twisting out without and changing the edge of the arm that you're referring to, but not, you're simply still making that transition from twisting in to twisting out.
Yeah, right. Like my thinking brain is like, yeah, so like this makes sense. I can accept this. Because there's a moment where everything, and it doesn't need to be an edge, but where everything is gonna shift. And here it's just I have done nothing, but I need to have the intention to in out, and like, so yeah, I'll just stop thinking about it and just remember in and out, and I think that'll really solve a lot of these problems.
You know, when you're doing the whole movement, what's happening is both are twisting into the center and both are twisting out, both up and down. So I put the shifting and rotation in there, but
right.
You don't have to. It's twisting into the center and twisting out, down and up.
Okay, maybe that, but that's not when the moment is, though, when they meet, right? That's not.
That's the transition.
Okay, so it's okay. So like, pretend this arm was doing some stuff. It's in, boop, out for this arm. I'm going in here, out.
Yeah.
Right.
The same arm.
Yeah. So like my left arm is going in, out.
Yep.
And okay, now I have a perfect. Did it. That works for me, because I'm like, all right, that's a moment. That's a place for a thing, for a transition to exist. You know, perfect. I love it. We can move on.
Well,
right.
No, that's a good question, and I had not thought before about how that relates to the Chansa-Jin, but it is. It's exactly. That's one of the things with Tai Chi and Qigong is that there are a lot of places where you do what seem like counterintuitive or opposite things, but they aren't. You just haven't accepted that the body is capable of doing both. It's like that.
Right.
It's like the left arm in the right-hand side of the single arm 8 gates, where you turning in one direction causes that whole S curve to happen. Right. And you just have to feel that. It's but I understand what you're saying, and I think it was a good discussion to have, because that did clarify that, I think, for you.
Yeah. Like I definitely had like kind of somehow both known, like I wasn't really starting the twist until like here, realistically, like where the transition would be. I was like, yeah, I was like, yeah, like it should be twisting, but like this makes sense. I can twist here, and like I could do it the whole way down. It was at that start where I was like, I don't really know what's going on with that twist. Like, like I didn't realize it wasn't there. So yeah, thank you.
You know, one of the things you discover as you get more sensitive to the energy, I'm sure you remember with Dragon and Tiger, how we came down and took our hand around the hip and down the outside of the leg, sending the energy down. And
Yeah.
you could begin to feel that.
Yeah.
Well, you will get eventually, and maybe not right now, but you will eventually get exactly the same feeling of sending the energy down your leg with that movement that we're doing in this. And
Yeah.
as you come back, you're pulling it right back up the inside of your leg and up.
Okay. Yeah. I so, when I'm not thinking about all the other things, I can get that sense. And like that, it makes that out to in, you know, I'm exaggerating, circle, make a little more sense of like, it's gone out the foot, now it needs to come back up the other, like going, almost like I'm going around the foot, but I know you got to go out and in, to make a little more sense of what's happening there. Instead of just like, I'm doing circles.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, I don't know, David just tells me to do that, so that's why that part exists.
Well, next time we probably get to putting this all together, will be interesting.
Yes.
Good. So,
Yeah.
anything else here on energy gates?
I don't think so.
Okay. So how's your yang?
About as good as my energy gates was when we started.
Aha.
David, have you ever done the yang form on a horse?
Have I done it on a horse? No, I have not. It's an interesting thought.
Yeah. Got that window back there. Yeah. I think it'd be better this way. Trying to get some space here. I'm almost in the frame.
Yeah. That's good.
Yeah. Do you want to just quickly go through it once so I can remember what I'm doing? and then if you'd like me to try on my own, I can.
Okay. Let's yeah, let me change my camera here. Sorry, your camera. So begin Tai Chi addressing the earth. So spiraling down into the left, stepping out empty with the right heel, up to Pung, Ji, Liu, On, Shifting left, separating and rotate, turn the leg. Shift on to it, step, shift forward and ward off left. Reset, ward off right. Expand out, then in, roll back, sink, turn, spiraling out. G. Push down, and turn the right leg in, rotate onto it, expand out and step, shift, single whip. Turn of the left heel, right toe, drop the heel and rise, turn. White goose. Draw in, step and brush knee. Shift, expand out, reset, play pipa. And brush knee. Brush knee. Brush knee. Play peepaw. And another brush knee. And then back, expand, turn, shift, kick, elbow, back fist, punch, withdraw, and push, shift back and turn. Cross hands, release, pull down, turn, draw in, step back, shift, expand, embrace tiger. Back and down, ward off right, roll back, sink, press forward, push down, and then single whip to the front left corner. Turn, expand out, step, shift, single whip. Shift back, turn the left leg, shift on to it, step forward to the corner, rotate to the head strike, shift on to the right, release, turn and punch, and turn back, draw in, and repulse the monkey. Step back to drive the monkey away. And step back straight, monkey, draw in, step to the front, separate into diagonal flying. Shift forward, reset, and lift hand, turn, up, back, brush knee, shift forward, back and down, up, needle at C bottom. Rise to base level, shift forward and expand the fan and turn. Back fist. S curve, turning left, pulling down, in and kick, elbow, back fist, pull down and step, shift forward and punch. Withdraw, embrace the moon, step and ward off right, roll back, press forward, push downward, and turn single whip again. And then into wave hands, turn on the left heel, right heel, keep rotating and pull in, step, pull in and step. Stepping in, stepping out. Come in and step forward, embrace the moon, single whip. Shift forward, back, high pat, back in, step, and ward off left. Shift in, kick and strike, step, shift to ward off right, and then onto the right, kick, strike, and step back, turn, and spin. And kick with the left heel. And I went blank there. Kick with the left heel, in, step forward and brush knee. And back and brush knee. And back and turn, step, sinking, shift, turn, and punch down. And then up, turn on the right toe, step around, another back fist, deflect intercept. And punch. I think that's beyond where we were.
Yeah, one more. Where's that? After the ear strike, punch. I don't know how to get into needle at C bottom. So after the ear strike and then that punch, like I just kind of go like this. Yeah, I two things. I don't super know how to get it started, and I have lost what my hands are doing in detail. I know that at some point it's like on one side. Yeah, so if we could go over that.
Okay.
Please.
So you were asking about two things, it seemed to me.
Yeah. Yes.
So after we do single whip the corner, we go back and turn, we shift and step.
Right.
You can't see that very much, can you? So step.
Not bad.
And then you keep rotating with the weight on the left foot.
Mm-hmm.
As that hand, the left hand pulls in and the right strikes, ideally to the ear. And then you have just a shift to 100% on the right foot as this arm draws into a fist. And then you turn and step forward empty, and you actually have an opening movement, but with the weight back on the right leg.
Okay.
So
I think I always shift forward there, which is probably going to screw up the next thing you're about to do.
yeah,
Okay. So that doesn't go.
as you shift to here, and then you just rotate to here, and it's the opening and turning that drives that punch forward. And you have rotation, and I'm saying opening because you're not actually rising. That's not what the movement is. But what there may be a little bit sense of rising in that what you're really doing is getting all the joints to expand. We haven't worked on opening and closing, so
Not super much.
yeah. So that I'm really it's a sense of having at this point gathered everything and then just letting it come out, boom. And then you rotate. You want to, in order to round the corner, you don't want to punch back because you just broke the flow of the energy. So you have punch and then turn a little right so that it rounds that corner and keeps the energy moving as you go into repulse monkey.
Okay. Yeah, I did have 2 sessions. So you're right. Because I end up forward weighted, and then to go into repulse monkey, I have to like do this big thing.
Yeah.
And I don't know, for whatever reason I didn't put that part in. So then I was like just on the wrong foot for repulse monkey, and it was like I don't know what's happening because I normally like I really like that posture. So all of a sudden it was wrong. So
Yeah.
don't go forward so that you can back in.
Go back to single whip to the corner.
Sure.
So you're going to shift back. And when you do that, already the left arm is beginning to sink and the right is beginning to rise.
Mm-hmm.
And then you turn and the left hand begins to deflect. And then you shift onto the right, and that causes the right arm to continue on up and the left to go down a little. And then you sweep and step the left foot on an angle to the corner. You're still back weighted. That's the empty step. But the right palm sweeps forward and opens, but it's not fully extended yet, nor is the arm. That comes with the rotation of the body into the strike.
Okay.
Then you shift the weight, no rotation, just draw in. Everything is bending in so that as you turn and step empty, you can open to that punch. And then turn a little bit right to draw in and step back and repulse monkey.
Okay. That last part helped make this make more sense. Like it's all still drawing in. I still want to go forward.
Well, don't do it.
Yeah. Strike. Not really. Yeah. In, still in. Okay.
Do that again. So you do it once.
Yeah, sure.
Let me see what you're doing.
Nope. I I put the strike. It needs to be here.
No,
Nope.
no, with the step is all just, you're still in preparation. It's bending.
Okay.
Don't shift forward, just rotate. Boom. So you stay on the left leg so that the right arm is as young as possible.
I mean, that
So
makes sense.
does that make sense to you?
And no, if I don't think about it, I don't think about it, and I can feel how that did. You know, it feels a lot better. It feels like it would do a lot more, and like I can, you know, if I was actually trying to smack someone's head in, that it would make a much more whipping motion.
Mm-hmm.
But you know, in my head, I'm like, I gotta punch something. I'm coming at it. You know, if I want to hit something, I'm going to it.
Yep.
Which is not necessarily the case. Okay.
So, you know, it's kind of an interesting thing, just to be technical here for a moment.
Mhm.
When you keep the weight on that back leg, it makes your right arm more young in
Mhm.
that strike. But the energy coming up and being expressed through that arm is coming from the right leg.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is.
Not for me. You're gonna need to. You're gonna. What?
You know what? I shouldn't have gone there, huh?
No, well, no. That's the fun stuff, right?
Because your young leg, the energy is sinking and rooting.
Right.
The energy coming up your right leg is going to go out your right arm.
Man, I didn't know there was energy coming up my right leg. It was just kind of there. So.
Right. Well, that's part of why I was raising the issue.
Thank you. Yeah. What are you talking?
Oh, no.
No. But I'm just trying to remember what the heck I'm doing here. This step. Well, yeah, I guess. Oh man. Yeah, that's pretty cool, David. Wait, so if this probably is because everything is simple. I mean, and the answer is not always, but if I'm doing a thing where I'm like rooting in one leg, wherever you're like weighted on one leg rooting down, is energy always coming up the other leg?
Yep. Almost always.
That's pretty cool. Okay. That kind of makes like all those postures make a lot more sense.
Yep.
You know, like there's like the leg, that other leg. I just kind of thought it like came, you know, it was just like hanging out, ready to do something else. Not that, yeah, I guess in a whole body you know, martial art, it would be incorporated with the rest of the body and
Yep.
and not just doing nothing.
Yep.
Okay. That's giving me a lot to think about.
Good. I gotta go.
Oh, okay.
It is past time.
Is it? Oh, my computer's on me 11:40. Okay.
Yeah. So
Oh, I thought we went to 12.
no, our class is really an hour and a half. I do
I'm
go.
sorry.
I do go to 12 sometimes with you, but today I can't.
Okay. Yeah, no, I don't want to keep you then. Okay.
No problem. I think you have enough to work on
I think so.
if you have any time.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I'll make it. Dig it up.
Well, it's good to see you.
Yeah, nice to see you too. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you. Have a good couple of weeks, and I
Yeah,
hope you get some rest along the way.
me too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the kids keeping you up?
Mostly work.
Oh,
Yeah, just stuff, life, work.
yeah.
Wake up early to try to scrounge up an hour, and then
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, got it.
All
Okay, buddy, hang in there.
right.
Take
Bye.
care. Bye-bye.
Bye.